Welcome to NetSuite Refresher number 8, Transmittal Accounts and Balances. In your Responsibility Center report, if you see a balance in your IT Clear RC of 25,000 euros, what does that mean? What if it's negative 25,000? What does that mean? In your global RC, if you have positive or negative, does that telling you anything? What about on your balance sheet, account 1311 system, when that's positive? Or what if it's negative? Are you doing something right, something wrong? And the same for account 1519. What about those strange accounts 1239, 2239, 5399, and 6399? What are they telling us? Well, today we're going to be looking at transmittal accounts and balances. We're going to be looking at some of the most commonly used ones, including Global RC and account 1519, IT Clear RC, account 1311, and Transmittal Payments. So let's get started with Global RC. What is it? It's the holding responsibility center for funds to forward to other ministries. And it's tied to the mission critical component of other, which is 11. We can put donations here through the donation cash sale transaction or the internal donation transfer transaction. They're automatically put here. Subsidies and allocation are put here through a journal entry. And then to send them, the funds onward, they can be sent via a transmittal entry called donation or subsidy transmittal entry. Now, if a donation has a global designation, it will be automatically sent once it's created. You do not need to do the transmittal entry. But if there's no global designation for these donations, then it will be held in the Global RC until a transmittal entry is made manually. So in this graphic, you can see Global RC here in the middle. It's our holding RC. And you can see that donation cash sales can be transferred in through the transaction screen, subsidies and allocation via journal entry, and IDTs are automatic. The transmittal entry is automatic for donations and IDTs that have a global designation. For those that do not, and for subsidies, you need to do a manual transmittal entry to transfer it on. So what does a balance in Global RC mean? A positive balance, which in an RC is a credit, means that funds were put in global and are waiting to be sent. The transmittal entry sending the funds to another ministry has not yet been done. A negative balance or debit balance means that transmittal entry transferring funds to another ministry has been done. However, those funds were not put into global before you sent the transmittal entry. So the transmittal entry was done first before the other information, the funds were transferred into the holding RC. So what do you do about it? If it's a positive balance, you should create the transmittal entry. If it's a negative balance, you need to go ahead and record the donation, or for subsidies, create the journal entry. The negative balance is considered abnormal. We don't normally have a negative responsibility center balance. Account 1519. Similar to the RC Global, it is an account for holding expenses. This is for holding before sending charges and expenses that will be passed on to other CCC ministries. We put those charges and expenses here via expense reports, bills, and journal entries. And we select charge to other CCC in the expense category. Funds are sent from here via a transmittal entry called charge. Charges are not automatically sent, and the reason for that is that anyone on an expense report can select charge to other CCC. So we want them to be held in account 1519, so the accounts team can validate the accuracy before sending these charges onwards to other ministries. In this graphic, you can see that expense reports here, journal entries, and bills can put charges and expenses into account 1519. And then a transmittal entry needs to be done manually to send those onwards. A positive balance, which is a debit balance, in account 1519 means that charges were put into the account and they're waiting to be sent. So you need to send a transmittal entry. It has not been done yet. A negative balance or credit balance means that the transmittal entry charging another ministry has been done. However, the charges were not put into account 1519 before sending the transmittal entry. If you have a positive balance, then you need to confirm the validity of the expense and create a transmittal entry. If you have a negative balance, you need to ensure that the expense report, bill, or journal entry is recorded and charged to other CCC was the right expense category. A negative balance is abnormal. IT Clear RC, what is it? It's used to receive net income on the transmittal, all of your income and expenses, before it's distributed to the correct responsibility centers and accounts. It is also tied to 11, just like the global RC. There are several accounts that are used along with IT Clear RC to receive income and expenses, and those are account 5199 for donations, IDTs, and other income, account 5699 for subsidies and allocation, and account 8999 for expenses and charges. You can also remit non-contribution and non-subsidy income to other CCC ministries using IT Clear RC. And I will show you how that's done right here. So that would be done, you would do a journal entry transferring the income. It would be non-donation income. So like a rental income or other income, interest income, tuition income, etc. You do a journal entry crediting 8999 IT Clear, and then a transmittal entry of the type other income. What does a balance in IT Clear RC mean? If it's positive or credit, that means income's been received on the transmittal and you need to distribute it to the right RCs and accounts. If it's negative, it means expenses have been received and you need to distribute those to the correct RCs and accounts. Or maybe you have income that you have done a journal entry, putting it there, and you need to remit it to other ministries. But the most likely answer is that the balance is made up of a combination of income and expenses received and some income that also needs to be sent. If it's positive, just transfer the income to the correct destination RC. Make sure you use the correct income and account, and you do it via journal entry. If it's negative, you need to transfer the expenses with a journal entry or create a transmittal entry to remit other income to another ministry. So this is where it's a little bit tricky, and you really need to go through at least once a month and look at every single entry line by line in your IT Clear RC to make sure that if it's income, you transfer it to the right place. If it's an expense received, you transfer it to the right place. If it's income to send, you do a transmittal entry. Okay, so let's move on to account 1311. What is it? It's InterCCC Fund Transfer Clearing. So what that means is it's related to transmittal payments, the receipt of the transmittal funds. It acts as the bank account for the transmittals, since the process does not know which bank account code to use in each ministry. Once a transaction lands in account 1311, it should be cleared and offset with the corresponding bank transaction. And the balance should be zero once the transmittal transaction has been completed. So that will start to make sense as we continue in this section. Let's look at transmittal payments in a little bit more depth. So once a transmittal entry is made, such as a donation transmittal entry or a subsidy or a charge or you're remitting other income. Once that's made, the amounts that have been held in Global, IT Clear, and 1519 are cleared. And depending on the type of entry, those amounts are put into accounts 1239, 2239, 5399, and 6399 of the sending and receiving ministries. So for example, account 1519, let's say you have a charge you're sending to another ministry. So once you send the charge entry, 1519 is cleared and you have a debit in 1239, which is a receivable because you're waiting to receive money back from another ministry. The ministry that will be charged has an amount put in account 2239 because they have a payable. So depending on the type of entry, the amount is put into both the receiving and sending sides, opposite accounts. So let's look at how when a payment is made, what happens. When a full balance is paid, when the full amount owed is paid, in the sending ministry, all of these accounts are cleared. And then these corresponding accounts are cleared in the receiving ministry. So for 1239, it's 2239, except and vice versa. For 5399, it's 6399, and vice versa. Then the net or the total of all of these is debited in the sending ministry. In the receiving ministry, it's credited. And in the sending ministry, the opposite entry would be the payment, the money sent. That's your total, how much was sent. So it's credited. Account 1311 payment is credited. For the receiving ministry, account 1311 payment is debited. If you are just sending a partial balance payment, everything is cleared like normal. The amount, the total or the net is debited in the sending ministry as normal. The payment is credited, but then the difference, the amount that was not sent, is credited to account 6399. And on the receiving ministry, the amount that's not sent is debited to account 5399. So you can go back if you want to know more or look into the technical aspects of it. You can go back and look at this later. That was just a very quick overview. So what does that balance in account 1311 mean? If it's positive or a debit, it means that a transmittal payment from another CCC ministry has been received. Usually the area or region will send it. So usually from the area or region. If you have a debit, so it acts just like a bank account. If you have a debit balance in your bank account, you have cash. A negative balance means you've sent a transmittal, usually from the area or region. Negative, you've sent. Positive, you've received. So what do you need to do if you have a positive balance? You need to create a journal entry to clear account 1311 and record the amount in your bank account. If you have a negative balance, you need to create a journal entry to clear account 1311 and credit your bank account because you sent money. It should mirror your bank account. There are some important guidelines for using account 1311. Really important, only create a transmittal payment when you're actually going to send the money. Do it as close as possible, like same day or within 1 or 2 days. Transmittal payments do not send income and expense, only cash. The income and expense has already been received by the receiving entity in their IT Clear RC, right? So the receiving entities already received donations, already received all of these lines in their IT Clear RC. The payment is sending the cash. So you don't need to make sure that it happens at the exact same time that the income and expense are sent. You can send it at the same time when you send the cash. If you're holding cash in order to send a larger amount later, do not create a transmittal payment until you send the cash. It doesn't matter. They've already received the income and expense in their accounts, so you can wait to send the transmittal payment. If you're a sending ministry, create a transmittal payment on the same day as the cash is sent. That's as similar to what I said above, or as close as possible. It is the same thing I said above. For both sending and receiving, record the journal entry clearing account 1311 to the bank on the same day that the cash is sent and received. And this is important because you want, when you reconcile your bank account, there's going to be a date that you receive that money on the transmittal or that you send that money. That would be helpful if it can match the date in NetSuite. More guidelines. If the amount received into your bank does not equal the amount of the transmittal payment in 1311 because of exchange difference or bank fees, what do you do? So let's say the area sends you $50,000 US, you receive $49,900 US because of exchange difference. So how do you record it? Well, you would debit the actual amount of cash received. You would debit that you received $49,900 in your bank account, and you would clear account 1311 for the actual amount of the transmittal payment for the $50,000 because you have a debit 1311 $50,000 in your account. So you have to clear it completely. And the difference would be exchange loss. And you record that to an actual RC that can record an expense. Do not use account 1311 as a clearing for transfers between different bank accounts in your ministry. It's only to be used for transmittal payments received, transmittal payments sent, and the clearing of them. So really quickly before we wrap up, I'm going to show you an example of a transmittal payment in NetSuite. So let's say I'm at World Headquarters, and this is not a real transmittal payment. This is in the training sandbox, see? So this is an example. If I am paying another ministry, the amount owed, let's say I pay them a partial balance. I pay them $9,500. So my transmittal payment is credited. And my account 2239, 5399, 6399, 1239 all clear completely. The full balance is cleared. And then the difference between 9,500 and all of these is credited to account 6399. This is the amount I still owe. And then here I can show you transmittal entries. It's under transaction, transmittal, here's payments, here's entries, new, and I can choose a charge, other income, subsidy, different types of donations, a description, and I choose where am I going to send this entry. This is for, remember, an entry for a specific transaction. A payment is the amount owed. And the amount, and I can put other details. So that is all for today. We talked about Global RC and account 1519, IT Clear RC, account 1311, and transmittal payments. So this is a lot of information in a short amount of time, and I went kind of quickly because I was trying to make it short. But feel free to watch this again or go back and read other additional information. There's a lot of helpful things you can read. Help Scout Docs on the topic of transmittals has a lot of helpful documents, videos, webinars, slide decks that can help with this topic. Some of the helpful ones would be international transmittals, step-by-step. It's a slide deck. Some of the graphics that I used came from that. International Transmittals Checklist has a list of helpful documents and walks you through step-by-step, depending on if you're a receiving ministry or a sending ministry, what to do. And there's a lot of other documents. So I hope that this is helpful, that you have a little bit better idea of when you see a balance in one of these accounts or RCs, what it may mean. So have a wonderful September.